The Mexican Dirty War, a period of state-sponsored violence and repression that unfolded primarily during the late 1960s and 1970s, remains a haunting chapter in Mexico's history. This article serves as a documentary-style exploration of the Mexican Dirty War, shedding light on the historical events, political context, and human rights abuses that transpired during this dark period of Cold War history. Part 1. Historical Context and Political Landscape. The documentary begins by examining the historical context in Mexico during the Cold War. The Institutional Revolutionary Party PRI, which held power for over 7 decades, maintained political dominance. As social and political unrest simmered, the government responded with authoritarian measures to quell dissent. Part 2. The Tlatelolco Massacre. The article delves into the Tlatelolco Massacre, a pivotal event that occurred on October 2, 1968, just days before the Summer Olympics in Mexico City. The government's crackdown on student protests in Tlatelolco Plaza resulted in a tragic loss of life and marked the beginning of a period of increased state repression. Part 3. The Emergence of Guerrilla Movements. As the Cold War intensified globally, the Mexican government viewed leftist movements as potential threats. The article explores the emergence of guerrilla groups such as the National Liberation Forces (FLN) and their role in challenging the authoritarian rule of the PRI. Part 4. State Repression and Human Rights Abuses. The documentary vividly recounts the state-sponsored repression that characterized the Mexican Dirty War. Arbitrary arrests, torture, disappearances, and extrajudicial killings became tools employed by government forces to suppress dissent and eliminate perceived threats to the regime. Part 5. The Dirty War's Targets. The article sheds light on the diverse targets of the Dirty War, which included not only guerrilla activists, but also intellectuals, students, and anyone perceived as a potential opponent to the government. The Campaign of Terror aimed to instill fear and stifle opposition across various segments of society. Part 6. The Role of U.S. Involvement. The documentary explores the role of the United States in the Mexican Dirty War. The U.S. government, often preoccupied with anti-communist sentiments during the Cold War, was accused of providing support to the Mexican government, further complicating the human rights situation. Part 7. The Search for Accountability and Justice. As the Cold War era drew to a close, the article examines the efforts to uncover the truth about the Mexican Dirty War and seek accountability for human rights abuses. Civil society movements and advocacy groups played a crucial role in bringing attention to the atrocities committed during this period. Part 8. Legacy and Reckoning. The article concludes by reflecting on the legacy of the Mexican Dirty War and the ongoing efforts to reckon with the past. The quest for justice, acknowledgement of historical wrongs, and the impact on victims and their families underscore the enduring significance of this dark chapter in Mexico's history. Conclusion. The Mexican Dirty War, as explored in this documentary-style narrative, represents a period of state-sponsored violence and repression that left an indelible mark on Mexico's history. Understanding the historical events, political context, and human rights abuses during this dark chapter is essential for acknowledging the complexities of Cold War dynamics and their impact on the lives of those who suffered during this turbulent era.